Okay, it is literally about 20 seconds after we filmed the Goblet of Fire video. We're now going to talk about The Order of the Phoenix, which we watched.
20? You stopped filming and then you started filming after 2 seconds. 20?
Oh God! Like, see, you get so particular about these things when we're filming sometimes,
Beep.
where you just have to.
Beep. It's been 20 seconds since. It's like, I'm just saying. I've got to say.
You do have to say,
Just
don't
start
you?
it again.
No, I'll leave it in so people can see how pedantic you really are. That's on you. Order of the Phoenix. We watched that.
When it comes to time, you are. I don't know what that word means, but I don't like it.
Oh my God, I love that you don't know what pedantic means, but it totally suits you. Right.
I don't want to do this video anymore.
I'm joking around, okay? Well, kind of. Half joking. Pedantic means you're like really down to the detail, like just going a bit too far with, when it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, and you're the opposite.
Okay.
When it comes to some things, light, height, distance.
What?
When we're doing the videos, oh no, sit closer. Oh, can you sit up a little bit more? Oh, can you...
Well, okay, fair enough. Right, let's just get on with the.
Can we just start over?
No, we'll leave it in for fun. It's fine. So, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. We watched it last night, so it's a bit more fresh. And this is another one that is one of my least favorites. In fact, I'd probably put it right down at the bottom. And,
oh my God!
And when this film first came out, I didn't go and see it. I'd gone through a breakup around that time, so I was just miserable. And I ended up watching it on a pirate copy, filmed from the cinema, and it just looked awful, and so I didn't like it very much. And also the book, The Order of the Phoenix, is one of my favorites. Then again, they're all my favorites, I don't know, but I just felt like it could have done things a lot better. Seen it a couple of times since then, but last night I think I really appreciated it more than I ever have, and I think that it isn't my least favorite anymore, and I think it's a really, really good film, and I appreciate it a lot more. And again, there were moments where you knew what was going to happen, like just like these little lines or whatever, or little moments that I had no idea about. So clearly, you've seen this a lot more than I have, or at least have more of a.
It's pretty far up there for me.
More of an enjoyment of it. So this is the fallout of the Goblet of Fire, where Harry is really changed now. He's lived his whole life being influenced by the death of his parents, but now he's actually witnessed this death. Admittedly, not someone he knew very well or cared that much about, as far as someone he was close to, but regardless, like, he's now come face to face with this man, Voldemort, and, has seen him kill someone. And also, throughout the whole summer, he's been cut off completely. And this is again where everything changes for the whole wizarding world, where the Ministry of Magic is denying Voldemort's existence, which is a really frustrating aspect of both the book and the film. And we have, what's her name? Imelda Staunton stepping into the shoes of Umbridge. I was trying to find a nice way of saying that. And she does an incredible job of being incredibly unlikable and frustrating.
A perfect heel.
A perfect heel, yes. It really shows you how frustrating it can be when someone has all the power, There's really a message there, how corrupt things can get in a situation where someone has the final say, where they can kind of make their own rules, where even Dumbledore is now kind of fighting against this thing, where he has to come up with loopholes to kind of salvage things somewhat. So Harry I really think Daniel Radcliffe becomes a really good actor in this film. I think there were flashes of it in the last two, and there's some good bits in the first couple of films, but in this one I think he really starts to settle into a really good actor. And there's one moment in the very last film where I think he's fantastic, and we'll get to that at the very end. I think that there's one scene that I think is his best moment, but
I think I've only seen the last film once.
I've seen the last film, I think, twice, maybe 3 times. I think I watched it with my mum after it had come out on DVD. So yeah, it'll be interesting to revisit that one. I'm looking forward to that a lot. But even I've got a lot to say. So yeah, this whole thing where Dumbledore is avoiding Harry is so interesting because he just, well, you're not avoiding him, you won't look at him, you know, like even in that trial scene where, you know, Harry's like, oh, Professor, and he's gone. Hasn't looked at him the whole time. And obviously you find out that's because he believes that Voldemort's in his head and he doesn't want to kind of, you know, exacerbate things. So that scene when he snaps and says, look at me, like,
yeah, like I said yesterday.
You really feel that. And when he does look at him, it's like this kind of, it's been built up to this really big moment because he hasn't really looked at him throughout the whole film. So I think that's a really great moment. But also something I noticed that I never really appreciated before was just how well the direction of the film and the editing is used to portray how Voldemort is in Harry's head. Like throughout the film, not just the dream sequences, which are really, you know, nicely edited and stuff.
As well.
Yeah,
and the way he's moving, the way he's moving his neck like that is so well done.
Like there's a bit where the camera goes out through a window into like the night, and you just see kind of like an image of Voldemort's face very faintly, you know, and it's almost like Voldemort's presence is looming large over everything, and particularly Harry, obviously, because he's the main character. And I just love the psychology of that. And when you see his perspective of attacking Arthur, you know, and I really love the intrigue of that right from the book, where it's like their minds are beginning to fuse, and then obviously it's revealed that they think he might not know yet, that they have this connection in their mind. And that's another great part where Snape has to give Harry these lessons because they have a very tumultuous relationship. And that's one thing I really liked as well, which is that they use Snape's memory. I think the chapter is called Snape's Worst Memory, which in the book is like a much more involved scene where Harry goes into Snape's pensieve and looks into his memories. But it was great how they did it in the film because it shortens it, but it gives you everything you need just to see that snippet of, you know, Harry's dad bullying Snape. Which
Harry's dad was bad.
Yeah.
He's not a nice guy.
I love that Rowling actually included that. You know, she didn't keep James Potter as this perfect kind of character and actually gave him some faults in that sense. And
which makes you sympathize with Snape.
Yes, and we'll get to that whole Snape thing. There's a lot to say at the end, for sure. But I like those scenes between Harry and Snape, and that scene in particular.
May vomit.
I may vomit, yes. Oh, and like the scene on the train station with Voldemort was great. Like just something that wasn't in the book, but just fits so perfectly within Harry's psychology of.
The Voldemort, yeah.
Yeah, when he sees him there, and it's just like a cool, creepy image of him in a suit. That I think is just a nice image.
And then he does the neck twisting thingy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Just to see like how Voldemort does it as well, and how they're both synced in a way.
Yeah. And and then Dumbledore's army. I love that in the book as well, where Harry starts to teach people these things, and that's really exciting and everything. And I think in the film, the room that they do it in has got all these mirrors everywhere. And it was really difficult for them because they had to constantly just paint out all the cameras. Like there was like a lot of visual effects just to remove the crew because of all the reflections and stuff, which seems like far too much hassle, but I guess that's the way they wanted to do it with the mirrors for some reason. I feel like Ron maybe gets a little bit. I almost feel like he's not in the film. Like he's just like there's a lot of
him and Hermione.
I think Hermione's in it a bit more because she's kind of pushing the whole Dumbledore's army thing, but even then, yeah, I think it's a bit more focused on Harry, which isn't the worst thing.
It should be, and that's how you notice how much better he's gotten with his acting and everything.
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
I think it's good.
And this is the first time, I believe, I think David Yates did this one, and he's been the Harry Potter director from that moment on, you know, through all the rest of the films, including the Fantastic Beasts movies, so this was his first one. I think he did a good job. A really good job, in fact. Again, I just think there's more interesting things done in the direction and the way that it's made as a film. And I guess, one brief aside, I think the actress who plays Luna is very good. It's a cool story how she wasn't an actress at all and just went and did an audition. And J.K. Rowling was like, that's her. Like, that is Luna. Like, this doesn't even need to act. That she's just exactly like the character I imagined when I wrote her. And so the ending we should talk. Oh, well, one more thing before we get to that: the whole Hagrid grow up thing. I can understand why it is the way it is, but it was so much better in the book. And also, when I read the book, I guess that was 2000. I forget when it was, but when the book came out, the movies had already been starting. So I was so excited to see the giant sequence, like when Hagrid goes to visit the giants. That whole story is so cool. So I was kind of like really disappointed that we didn't get to see it, but I can understand why. A lot of visual effects, I'm sure, and things like that. But it feels thrown in there a little bit. But it's okay, you know. It's just one of those things, and like
it's needed for the Umbridge thing. Anyway.
It is, yes, it is needed for that. And Umbridge, you know, Imelda Staunton, she's great. Obviously, I hate that character because she's such
This is why I never liked the movie that much, because I hate her character so much.
Exactly.
Every time there's a scene with her, and because Hogwarts to me was my favorite place.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I saw a Harry Potter movie, I couldn't wait to get back to Hogwarts.
Mm-hmm.
She destroyed Hogwarts.
Yes.
Which is why I'm missing Hogwarts by movie 7, volume 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, when she's there, which you're supposed to feel that way, but she's ruining Hogwarts for me.
I know.
Get out!
I know.
You know what I mean? But then seeing everything else, like seeing what's happening to Harry and everything, makes me realize this is really good.
Yeah.
And then it has, I would say, the best sequence of scenes.
Yeah, that's what
put together, all of the movies combined. I think that's the best.
That's what we're building up to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just kind of trying to clean up anything else before we get to talking about that. The Weasleys leaving Hogwarts, perfect. That is exactly how I kind of imagined it. Obviously, a little bit tweaked here and there, but such a great FU to Umbridge. I think they did it so well, where she's stood underneath all those rules and they just get completely shattered. Like, it's a really satisfying moment, just a big old fuck you to Umbridge. Just brilliant. I love how, I'm not sure in the book if it transitions so quickly, but they have this moment where the Weasleys leave and it's this big yes, and then it cuts straight to Harry, who gets the kind of vision of Sirius, which I'm not sure if it happens that soon in the book, but I think it's a really good choice because it kind of brings you up on this high and then it suddenly drags you down to like, oh shit, you know. So, and then it's really urgent from then on, which is really good. I also love the scene when Dumbledore leaves, you know. What did he said? He says, I forget
He's got style.
He's got style. No, it's really worded great when he's just like, perhaps you're under the illusion that I was going to, what is it they say, come quietly?
Yeah,
he really nails that scene, I think, and it's really cool.
And when he uses the Phoenix to just fire his way out of there,
yeah,
when he could just teleport.
Sure, yeah.
What do they call that?
Apparate.
He could just apparate.
Yeah.
Maybe he's more trackable when he apparates or something.
Perhaps, yeah.
I don't know, but the way he does it, and then when that guy says, you gotta admit, Dumbledore's got style. Like, you know, like, what's his name? The guy who says motherfucker all the time.
Samuel L. Jackson.
If he was there, it's like, oh, motherfucker's got style.
You would, yeah.
You know?
Mugglefucker.
Motherfucker. No, that sounds bad.
Oh, yeah,
Well, actually, it sounds worse the other way, doesn't it?
I guess it does, yeah. If you really think about it, yeah, it does. Okay, so to actually go back a bit, the whole Sirius thing. It was great to see Sirius in a normal setting where his teeth aren't all mangled up and he isn't a recently escaped prisoner. So you get to see him a bit more normal looking.
Do you think Hermione fixed it?
Perhaps, yeah.
Fixed his teeth.
And what I loved about the book
What
I loved about the book, and it wouldn't work in the film, is that when they get to Grimmauld Place, Sirius's house, they're there for a few weeks, and like they help him clean up and stuff, and that's when I feel like Harry really gets to know Sirius. In the film, it's like he sees him and then he's off again. Although they do go back at Christmas, so there's kind of that. And I do think the short amount of time that Sirius and Harry have together in the film is done really well. At least the actors like Gary Oldman and
You
Radcliffe.
can tell they love each other.
Yes, they really conveyed that.
The way they hug each other and stuff.
Yes, and it's they don't have many scenes together, but the ones they do, they make it count, and they make the relationship between the characters build. I think so.
Gary Oldman is great.
He's amazing.
I bet he could make anyone seem like a great actor next to him.
Yeah, and I remember like at some point, Radcliffe was saying how much he looked up to him and stuff, and how much he helped him on this film. So I think it really comes across. So the ending, the Ministry of Magic ending, which is, you know, it's another great sequence in the books. And it's a bit more involved in the books. They go to a few other rooms, have other weird things in them, but I think they really nailed what the core of the sequence is about. And the prophecy. I wonder why they didn't use the fact that the prophecy was also, or could have been about Neville, where it was really Voldemort's choice, I believe. So, because they're both born on the same day. Because that was an interesting kind of idea, that it could have all been, you know, Neville Longbottom and the Philosopher's Stone.
Why is it always me?
Why is it always me, exactly?
Oh my god, he would have died in the first movie.
God's sake. Oh my god. Yeah. So the whole Ministry of Magic ending, I mean, you wanted to say, I mean, you think that's the best kind of sequence?
I mean, it's good when they're finding the prophecy, and then you hear the psychic woman, what's her name, saying the prophecy again.
Oh yeah, Trelawney.
At the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
This and that and blah blah blah. Neither one shall live, while the other survives, and the stuff that I have only ever read in book 7. But everything, I think, from the moment they fall down into that last room, and they almost hit the floor.
Yeah.
Everything from there on out, until Voldemort disappears again, is spot on. It's so great.
Yep.
Like, the way the digital effect when the Death Eaters, like their black smoke stuff thing when they're traveling around, flying around and stuff.
Yeah.
It's such a cool effect. And then the good guys come and they're white, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a darkness against light.
It's the first time we see proper wizards dueling as well.
Yes, and it's really, really good. Like when you see Bellatrix battling, like when they're all the darkness and light and the black smoke or whatever, and they're just flying around battling, and you know it's her because you recognize her laugh and everything. And when Sirius approaches, it's like I know everybody's like, he's here, you know, like you're so happy to finally see him. You're feeling instantly safer. And then when Sirius and Harry are just battling and just using their wands and stuff like that, and how quickly you hear the words and you see the green light, you just see him do this.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, she just hit his hands, or something. It looked like she just hit his hands with a curse, but that's enough. And then you realize, and then the music changes, and the way Harry screams, it's like Frodo with Gandalf. It's the exact same thing, being held back and everything like that. It's like, no, and it just gives you chills. It's really well acted. It's so well done. The whole movie's built up to this, and then you see Bellatrix, and
who, by the way, is also another great addition to the.
Oh, she's so great.
Perfectly cast.
That woman can act crazy. Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then obviously he wanted to go and get Sirius, but he's dead. And then he sees who killed him, and everyone feels the hatred towards her. Everyone wants to use that cruciatic or whatever curse on her. When he runs after her, I just want him to torture the hell out of that fucking woman. You know what I mean? And then Voldemort comes up, and then the epic battle between him and Dumbledore. I just love it. There's no music, which makes it so artistic. It's so beautiful with all the fire and the water, you know, and the ice and the glass and the everything like that, you know. It's the contrast between them, and you see how terrifying Voldemort is. You know, how powerful he is, and you can see, well, Dumbledore is powerful, but all he can do is defend himself. And then the sound when he's like absorbing everything, it's just, and then Gah! Like that, and everything breaks, and it's amazing. And then when he takes over Harry as well, I think Harry or Daniel plays that really well. When he's struggling.
Yeah.
And I think there's music there actually.
Yeah.
It's just really sad music in the background. But I just love how there's... I love fight scenes without music. Because it makes you hold your breath.
Yeah.
Because it's noisy, but it's quiet. You know what I mean? Because it makes it more realistic. You don't have music in the background when you're fighting.
No.
Mission Impossible movie too. The fight scene in the bathroom.
Yeah,
No music. Great.
Yeah.
Made it even better.
Bane and Batman, Dark Knight Rises.
So no music.
No.
See, there you go.
Just hear the punching and the...
Yeah. Bones cracking. And it's just how Dumbledore is just like... He can't do anything. And I'm pretty sure, because it looks like he's battling, like... Is he gonna have to kill him? Maybe that's why he's looking so sad as well. Like, if he can't snap out of it, maybe he would have to kill Harry or something. I don't know. I'm imagining that because there's torture on Dumbledore's face. I don't know what the book says. The struggle that Dumbledore goes through.
Well, I would say that as far as I'm aware at this point, Dumbledore is already cottoning on to the fact that Voldemort probably has these Horcruxes. So he knows he wouldn't have been able to kill him because he had all those objects that are kind of keeping him alive. Regardless. So
Harry would have to be the last one to die.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Damn. J.K. Rowling.
It's good, isn't it?
It's really good. It's a really good puzzle. I want to kind of like listen to all of the books all over again now.
Yeah. But
just to start over, but then I probably won't be bothered, so I'm going to continue with The Goblet of Fire, because that's where I left off.
Yeah.
But I want to hear what this book is all about, and Stephen Fry does a great job at it.
Yes, he does.
But the effects in this whole sequence, actually, most of the movie is really good. It's really grown. There are some things that are a little bit, you know, like the Santa Claus flying around. What the hell was that about? But the little, like, just circle of particles or something surrounding Voldemort and Harry.
Yes, it's like frozen in it's like suspended animation kind of thing.
Yes, and Dumbledore is on the outside of this.
Yes.
It's just such a simple thing. Probably took a hell of a lot of rendering time. But it's so beautiful to look at as well. I'm really admiring all of the effects in this movie. It's just grown so much, which is one of the reasons why I like it so much. But that whole part of the movie is, to me, I could watch it over and over again.
Yes.
And I have watched the Dumbledore and Voldemort scene over and over again because it's so fucking great. And then, of course, the Ministry of Magic people or whatever, they come in and they see Voldemort and he disappears. And that's it.
Yeah.
And then it's just that scene that you probably want to talk about with Dumbledore and Harry.
I can only agree with you. I think that they nailed the whole Voldemort and Dumbledore thing. Like, even just the little detail where Dumbledore is like, it was a mistake for you to come here tonight, Tom. Calling him by his real name, you know, just it really makes it personal. And knowing the history between the two that we've heard of and much that we don't know of, some of which gets explored in the next film. And in the book, it was just like mind-blowing to read that for the first time. Like, because in the book, you know, those golden statues? There's like these golden statues around the fountain. And I believe Dumbledore bewitches them, or they come to life to protect Harry. So they kind of pin him against the wall so he can't get involved. So you just see...
Yeah, because he has to protect him. You can tell how, during the fight, that Dumbledore is like...
Yeah,
and he has to like kind of do other things to make Harry back the fuck off, because he can't protect him and fight Voldemort at the same time because he's in his way. But I really like that because it stresses you out, because that's how the heroes usually die in movies, when they're trying to protect the other people. Yeah, it's really good.
And it works even better because Voldemort has been pretty much absent from the whole film as far as like an in-person present timeline.
And you see a different side of him.
You see
how powerful he is.
Yeah, but you just see Voldemort in like Harry's visions and things. So like we get to see him for the first time at the end of Goblet of Fire, like in full form, and then we go a whole other movie. And then we get a whole other... Well, we see like his face in the first film and like his memories in the second film. And then, you know, we get a whole other movie of not seeing him properly until the very end, like the very last moment, not even in the the scene when the Death Eaters are fighting the Order, it's right at the very end when he turns up in that kind of sanctum, I think they call it. And yeah, like you say, you see another side of him where he really shows his power, and it's what better?
Because he's been weak.
What better person to kind of display that power against than Dumbledore? They say throughout the whole series.
They say is the most powerful wizard.
Exactly, and
if he can't even, but I'm sure Dumbledore didn't want to kill him anyway.
Well, he probably knew that
if he wanted to kill him, he probably could have.
I don't know. Because if that was the case, then I think he would have done it. I don't think he would have.
He couldn't have killed him anyway because it's part of. If he knew that, then he couldn't kill him.
But Dumbledore also knew the prophecy was that none can live while the other survive. Whatever it is, meaning that one of them has to kill the other. Like that is the kind of the fate and destiny of both those two characters, those people in the story, is that one has to kill the other, basically, which is exactly what happens twice.
Is there something to do with Dumbledore's wand as well?
Yes. I believe Dumbledore has the Elder Wand, which is one of the Deathly Hallows. Because Voldemort steals it from his tomb in the seventh film, which is probably one of my favourite moments of the whole series. Anyway, another thing in the book was Sirius's death, because I can't remember how it was exactly written, but he goes through the veil, and at first it's like, wait, does that mean? Like you get this kind of, you're not quite sure. That's how I felt anyway, so it was this kind of like denial almost at first.
What, the Sirius dies?
Yeah, and then it's just like, and what is it? Harry gets this mirror or something, that's like hand mirror, and I think Sirius gives it to him and says, we can communicate with this, like we can see each other, and at the end Harry smashes it because he's so angry, and then like he looks at it and he swears he sees an eye, and I thought, oh, it means Sirius is still alive. We find out, no, maybe that's at the end of the other one.
It's the Dumbledore one.
It's the Dumbledore thing. I'm sure that's at the end of Order of the Phoenix. I'm sure Sirius gives that to Harry.
I remember something about seeing Dumbledore's eye in something broken glass, and that was
in the broken.
Oh God, I want to see the next one because
I might be wrong then. I might be wrong, but I'm sure I remember feeling like there was a sliver of hope for me that Sirius might be still alive, because it just felt like maybe he wasn't because of the whole ambiguity of the veil and him going through. Obviously, we know that
the veil.
It's this. I'm not entirely sure how it's described or whether it's even fully explained, but it is this kind of the Department of Mysteries, But I mean, again, I'm not entirely sure if he does get hit with the killing curse in the book.
He does. You can
in the book, I said, but because I just remember feeling like it wasn't. Did it really happen, And maybe that was intentional, but again, this is, I'm not as well versed as I'd like to be, so I might be wrong on a couple of those points. But regardless, I just remember feeling like I was trying to deny it to myself. But they pull it off beautifully in the film. And
I denied Dumbledore until the next movie came out.
Oh yes, that's a whole other thing.
I was like, he's not dead.
There was a whole community of people, a whole website called DumbledoreIsNotDead.com, and all these theories. A really, really fun time to be a Harry Potter fan. Anyway, that's the next one. But yeah, I think that the third act of this film is just incredible.
Yeah.
So, and even like the scene in the hallway of the prophecies, they did that on a complete green screen. There's just nothing, none of that is real at all.
Oh wow.
And I think they were a bit nervous about that because it was the first time they were doing something like a George Lucas kind of thing. But I think it looks really good considering it's all completely fake.
I love the tiles on the floor in that place.
Yeah, the Ministry of Magic. I love the design of that location. So it was cool to see that location in the film. Finally, yes, we can really add it. So I think it's a
long review.
I really came round to this film this time round. I rated it a little bit higher than I ever have before.
Number 5?
Huh?
Maybe number 5?
What do you mean number 5?
Top.
No, it wouldn't be my top 5. No, but I think
there were only 8 movies.
No, I know. Yeah.
What?
But it might be in the top 5.
Above Chamber of Secrets.
It might be. I might say it's in the top 5 best. I think. I would prefer other ones as favourites, but I do think it is better than the first 2 films. For the acting and the direction and the story as well. Like this is when the story really
This is where it gets dark.
It's really picking up speed, And I really love how they also retained the Cho Chang romance where he kisses her, and they're like, "How was it?" And he's like, "It's wet," you know. She was crying, and that's a really good scene between those three as well. Like that feels really natural and like they're proper friends. So.
'Cause you got emotional range of a teaspoon.
So yeah, Order of the Phoenix. I'm looking forward to watching it again now in the future, because it was always near the bottom for me and kind of So it's just one of those things that, you know, as time passes, as you watch it more and more, any film, there's always going to be things you see that you like more or less, and for me, I liked it a lot more. So there we go. Anything else you'd like to add?
I just want to watch all the best parts of the next few movies.
Right, yeah.
Just like, I want to see the scene with Snape and part 1, part 2.
Part two. Yeah.
I want to. So many things I want to see.
Yeah, it gets really good in the next 3, so looking forward to revisiting those, and there we go. So thank you for watching. Let's see you.
Can't wait for Fantastic Beasts 2. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And we will include Fantastic Beasts. We're going to do that one as well.
Oh, yeah.
And talk about it.
This is the Harry Potter world.
Yeah, and that's one, just as a random, I mean, I know we're kind of out of continuity at this point, but Fantastic Beasts, I fell asleep during a little bit of that in the cinema, so I'm really looking forward to revisiting that. Because that's a film I wasn't really that interested in, but I ended up really loving it.
I don't understand how you wouldn't be.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like it was going to be anything, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. And then I watched it and I loved it, so just one of those things. Anyway, so there we go. That's Order of the Phoenix. And moving swiftly on, we'll get to the Half-Blood Prince.
And who is the Half-Blood Prince? Obviously. Bye.
Yeah, he's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, 'cause